Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Good afternoon, Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League fans, and welcome into Episode 13, Season 2 of the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast here on your home for Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League coverage, G-Show Productions on gshow.ca. I'm your host, Graham Forsyth. Our show brought to you by McKenna Fasteners and Tools, goaltenders, as well as Terrico and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, as you saw from the commercial that played at the beginning of this episode. As for the MMJHL, playing their final set of games this weekend, that actually started off last night in St. Vital. We'll get to that in just a moment. But as for the rest of the league, 4 games tonight in action, and then 5 games on Sunday. And then the league returns to play not until January 2nd in 2025. But we'll be at Southdale tonight to cover Riels and Royal Knights, as well as at Eric Coy on Sunday to cover Charles Wood and Stonewall. But as for last night in the MMJHL, St. James faced off against the St. Vital Junior Victorias, with St. Vital losing in that one by a score of just taking a look at it, 6-4 against the St. James Junior Canucks. I was adding up their goals for and was 1 over their total. So we called the game last night. It's pre-recorded, by the way, on our YouTube channel under the video section to watch for your viewing pleasure. We weren't able to catch the whole first period due to some internet difficulties, but we were able to record the rest of the first from where we left off in that pre-recorded MMJHL game day, and caught the rest of the game. But yeah, in the first period, it was 2 shorthanded goals for St. Vital to open up the scoring. They had a 2-0 lead heading into the second period, where St. James would come alive. 5 goals to the Victorias 1 in that second period of action. And the Vics were able to score another one to make it 5-4 for St. James in that third period, with a nice tic-tac-toe finish off of Dario Macchia's stick. 104 into the period, but St. James shut it down well enough where Tristan Arneson was able to ice the game with his 6th point on the night, his first goal on the night, his 10th of the season, an empty netter. But Arneson was big time for this team last night. 5 assists for 6 points along with the goal. He was really driving the play, along with a lot of Canucks last night stepping up outside of Arneson as well, too, right? Ashton Romanek ends up having a big deflection goal to make it 4-2 at the time before Lucas Gilson would make things 4-3. Then it's just a great response from the St. James Junior Canucks. After that, with under 30 seconds to play, Arneson gains the zone, passes over to Kuksak, and then he finds Griffin Height wide wide open in the slot as they finished off a tic-tac-toe goal of their own. It was just a different St. James Junior Canucks team in that second period, and you could sense it as they, I believe, started off, the majority of 5-on-5 play. I was trying to remember if there was a power play or not, but they got to speed into their game in the offensive zone right away, were able to get some cycle going, and yeah, a team that ended up overwhelming the Victorias in their zone a few times, forcing turnovers off the forecheck. And it was just very much a sight of the old St. James Junior Canucks in a way with how explosive their offense has been in the past. They've been able to win 4 games in a row at this point and have been climbing up the MMJHL standings. We are going to hear from their head coach actually on this edition of the MMJHL podcast, as Blake Harris will be joining the show to talk about how the season's been going, the transition, how that's been from going from assistant coach to head coach, how this group's been responding as the season has gone along. And we also talked about the game against the St. Vital Junior Victoria as it was upcoming at the time, as that interview was done pre-recorded yesterday afternoon. That all coming up next on the MMJHL podcast, the penultimate episode of 2024 here on G-Show Productions. Edition of the MMJHL podcast. Blake, we're going to be broadcasting, of course, your game tonight. That's already going to be happened, or already had happened once this podcast goes live, since we were covering St. Vital against the St. James Junior Canucks tonight. But how are things going so far? Your first season as a head coach in this league?
Good. Yeah. No, it's been interesting. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, tough start for us. But we're coming on here now, and it's been a bit of a learning curve, obviously, for me, going from an assistant role to the head coach. Just something that I've surrounded myself with good people, and obviously we have a lot of the same guys that have been on staff for the last number of years too. So it's been good, and like I said, just sort of a learning curve, and we started slow, but we're coming on now and kind of finding an identity for ourselves, and it's been a lot of fun though.
Yeah, and you mentioned the slow start, a team that got off to an 0-4 start, and then since then have worked their way up back to just over 500 for the first time this year at 11-10-2. Talk about what you've seen in this group. Has it been kind of just settling in and settling down as things have gone along, and the adjustments that have kind of just ease themselves in as the season's gone along, or was there, I guess, any changes that the coaching staff has made along the way to this point to get this team back and rolling?
Yeah, I think with the tough start that we had, there was a lot of stuff going on internally as far as just our players, right? We just, as far as we had some guys that weren't too sure if they were going to be coming back, and some of them didn't. Just things like that, where we kind of weren't too sure exactly who we were going to have on the team, who was coming back. So that took a little while for us to get that sorted out, but once we sort of talked to the guys about commitment, and that being something that we really wanted to focus on. We want guys that want to be there, right? We don't want to be you know chasing guys down, and begging them to come and play for us, right? So once we got kind of the commitment from the guys, and also learning that we're not the same team that we were the last 3 seasons where we won championships. Yes, we have still that winning culture is there, but I think we have to learn to win different ways. And we're starting to really focus on our systems, and knowing that the last number of years we've had guys that could score us out of trouble, and not saying we don't have guys that can score us out of trouble this year, but we're trying to more focus on systems, and make sure that we're playing a structured game so that we can win games in different ways.
Yeah, and you mentioned the championships. This team, of course, three-peating three in a row in the last three seasons, and with that, of course, comes maybe expectations from the outside and coming into the dressing room. Perhaps, like you said, getting players to commit. Now you guys have that. That's huge for sure. But how do you feel like? I mean, as a first-year head coach, not an assistant coach at this point, but coming in taking the head coaching position that this group, throughout the year now up until this point has handled the distractions and handled the noise, like you said, now having more buy-in than ever.
Yeah, I think whenever you have a big turnover of guys, right? Like we lost, I think it was seven or eight guys aged out, and then a few guys decided that they weren't coming back, or for various reasons that we don't have to get into. But so when you lose, a half of your team, and a big part of that was a core of the team for those championships. We were, like I said before, we were just trying to find our identity this year. We have a great group of 21-year-olds, a great leadership group, which includes the likes of Rory Neal, Griffin Height, Aiden Bruce. These guys have been, parts of these championship teams, right? And yeah, I think just being able to adapt as we go here. And it's all for us, it's all about trying to find an identity. We want to be a hard team to play against. We want to be a team that's known as a structured team that plays, a strong structured style game. And yeah, I think we're slowly getting there. But like I said, when you lose a huge chunk of guys like that, it just takes some time. And it's a long season. We always tell the guys it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? So yeah, we started out of the box pretty slowly there, but we've really started to right the ship, and we're pretty excited with the direction that we're going now.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I think everyone has to realize that. And I think a perfect example of this year was in another sport in football in the CFL, right? Even though the Bombers end up losing in the end in the Grey Cup, that team starts off about 0-4, skyrockets to the top at the end of it, right? So it's not as much about how you start, it's how you finish, as that better than anyone, Blake, through
Yeah.
the teams you've been able to be a part of in coaching in the past. But in saying that, definitely helps when you're able to have a guy like Rory Neal suit himself back in the lineup as the season got itself going. He's now up to 41 points, 14 goals, 27 assists, leads the team in points. He's the captain of this team. Talk about how truly huge his impact has been, him really elevating his game as the season's gone along.
Yeah, no, Roar's an awesome kid. He's really coming into his own as a leader for us. I've just noticed his growth even over the last few weeks, right? Um, he's just an exceptional talent. But the one thing about Rory that kind of might go overlooked is he's just a great person. Like he's down to earth. He's just a nice kid. I call him a kid because I'm 40 and he's 21, but he's a young adult, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a smart guy. He's doing the university thing. He's a heck of an athlete. He's an amazing golfer. Got a chance to play with him this summer. Awesome player. But just with Rory, he's just a great person, and the guys just sort of rally around him, right? When you get a chance to play with someone that's that talented, everybody's game just kind of rises with him, right? So Roar does a lot of lead by example. In the room, still a strong voice, but for him, just doing his thing on the ice, and just and being able to watch that over the last three seasons has just been incredible, and just proud of him. And like I said, I couldn't you can't talk about Rory Neal without talking about how good of a person he is. So
For sure. And been a huge part of this team's success in getting to the record they've gotten to, of course, this year. But before we get into this upcoming matchup tonight against the Vics, you spoke about culture, of course, and the culture within the St. James Junior Canucks team has been top to bottom, maybe the best in the league throughout the past 3 years. One of the big reasons, of course, with the talent, why that team was able to go on a run 3 times in a row and win it all 3 times. The culture this year, like you said, how have you felt like it's, I guess, translated into some of the past success we've seen here to start off this month with 3 straight victories?
Yeah, I think when you do when like I said, when you have a big turnover of guys and you're bringing in a lot of new guys and a lot of rookies, it in this league it takes some time, right? You don't just often you don't you're not seeing very often, I should say, guys that jump in as 18-year-olds and have a massive impact on this league. It just with the age gap that there is from the 17, 18s to the 21-year-olds, it's a lot about confidence, right? So we're just trying to make sure that we're putting our young guys in positions where they can be successful, kind of getting them their minutes, but not trying to overwhelm them in positions, whether that be up or down the lineup that they can't handle, right? So that's been something that we've really been working towards over the last month or two. Is just giving guys the ice time that they deserve, but it's a big confidence thing for in this league for a lot of guys, right? So you see now that some guys, they have their whatever it is, 23, 24 games under their belt now. You start to see more confidence. And what we notice too is that we're not like our team's not going into games with this let's play not to lose. It's like we're playing to win. Like we're expecting to win. And that's what the last 3 years has kind of been able to help with a lot of it, right? Is the last 3 years we expected to win every night, right? And we're starting to get that swagger back. And winning quite a number of games over the last month and a half has really helped with that. So yeah, just confidence and playing to win and not playing to not lose has been a big thing for us. And yeah, like I said, just the expectation to win every night and knowing that we got the group in that room to do it is huge for us.
Yeah, and if anyone knows about winning, it's the St. James Junior Canucks team. The past 3 seasons, no one has done anyone in except for them in terms of winning the league's trophy back to back to back years. But huge game tonight against St. Vital. 2 more to go this calendar year until we go on a bit of a holiday break, of course. Emotions were high and a bit of some scary stuff happened in your guys' game in Morris on Sunday night. So, coming off of that, of course, I know that things must have been tough that night, but looking to move past that and looking ahead to an opponent tonight in St. Vital that's going to be hungry to give you guys a good game. How do you get this group ready to battle for this game tonight specifically?
Yeah, no, I like to acknowledge that what you said about the last game there, and we have reached out to Pembina Valley and found out that their player is doing good, which is what you want to hear. Just sort of a freak incident there. Stick gets caught in a guy's holder of his skate, and then he gets toppled over and hurts his neck and back there. So that was something that we kind of dealt with right then and there in the room and just said, listen, let's curb this one. This is something that we'll have to take care of, later next month when we play them next. But we're in a good mindset. We're ready to go. We know that Saint Vital has some strong players and they play a fast game. And every time we've played them, over the last number of years, it's always been a good contest for us. And even this year, right? Like we one overtime win against them. We were down 3-1, came back, OT winner. That was a pretty electric game for us. That was something that kind of built our confidence moving forward there. And then even the last game we played them, really tight game. Bad bounce here or there. Game could have gone either way, I thought last time. So we know that we got to be prepared. They play a strong system game. They play fast. They got some guys that can put the puck in the net. Ribigny is a tough guy to match his speed, but we're going to try our best on the road to try to get some matchups if we can. And they play well in that barn, right? It's a smaller rink, and this week we worked on a few things that might help us in a smaller barn like that, and we've been system checks and making sure we're ready to go this week, because we're hungry. We see an opportunity for us to win some hockey games moving into 2025, and we're excited for this one. I know the guys are pretty pumped up, and it's a little bit different for us playing on a Thursday, and the boys having Friday to themselves. So I think we're pretty excited.
Yeah, a bit of a different schedule for the St. James team heading into the Christmas break. Their final matchup of this 2024 calendar set of the schedule is Sunday at home against the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. Blake, we'll see you at the rink tonight. Best of luck to this St. James Junior Canucks team, who I think if any teams to get a bit of swagger back, I don't think anyone else in the league wants it to be St. James. Best of luck moving forward this year. Pleasure talking with you, Blake.
Awesome. Thanks, Graham. I appreciate you, and I look forward to your coverage and seeing you out there, buddy. Appreciate you.
And it's Blake Harris, head coach of the St. James Junior Canucks, joining this edition of the MMJHL Podcast. That was heading into, of course, their matchup that was played last night against the St. Vital Junior Victorias. Sending out the best, by the way, to Evan Philippe, who ended up having to be taken out of the game yesterday due to what, from I heard, was and from what we saw, it didn't look like a fun injury. Um, our camera operator actually chased down his mom after the game, or went to Evan Philippe, one of the two, to give her back her card because she ended up leaving there in a frantic way to go, of course, check on her son, check everything was all right, with him down in the Vic's dressing room, or the where Philippe was getting medical attention. So found out that he was on a stretcher from my camera operator. Hoping the best for him, as well as continuing on what me and Blake talked about. Just want to identify the player. It was Ty Sadowski for the Pembina Valley Twisters, who ended up being the one to go down in that game, and what luckily avoided being a tragic incident over in Morris, Manitoba, in their Sunday night action against the St. James Junior Canucks. That game got stopped and postponed. Due to that, it will be rescheduled for another time, as they're in the third period of that one. But from what we saw and what we read, Sadowski ended up going to the hospital. He's now back at home, and he is recovering at this point. Ended up having his vital signs and his scans come back as healthy. So that's great news to hear about Ty Sadowski. All the best to him as he goes through his recovery now, and hopefully, is back on the ice in good health before we know it for the Pembina Valley Twisters. Shout out to the Twisters staff as well, and their trainer in Olivia, as well as both the trainers over from the St. James Junior Canucks, for acting accordingly and moving fast in what was a very scary situation down in Morris, Manitoba. So thank you to them for, helping being part of the solution to Ty getting to the hospital, as well as Ty being able to get back home. Without those trainers acting fast like they did, things could have potentially, who knows how things could have gone. Just happy that everything seems like it's okay now for Ty, and this Pembina Valley Twisters team looks to, of course, turn the page and move on to tonight's Friday night action, as taking a look at it, Pemmon Valley at home tonight against the Charleswood Hawks. They'll be finishing off their 2024 part of the schedule coming up this Sunday against St. Vital. But as for St. Vital and St. James, we were able to get some highlights in from that matchup from last night in our pre-recorded edition of MMJHL Game Day. Enjoy that. We're going to go to a commercial break afterwards, and I'll be back with some power rankings and updates in terms of where players sit in the stats leaderboards coming up here on the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast here on G Show Productions for episode 13, season 2. Enjoy this highlight package of Vic's Canucks coming up next. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of MMJHL Game Day on G Show Productions. As the house suddenly packing here in St. Vital. It's a big hit laid on the boards there, and Brady Jaquette. The Vics got the scoring started in this one here tonight. So it was Luke Elliott shorthanded. Rory Neal but into his skates. This pass a bit intercepted with by number 26 coming down for the Vics. Dango and scores another shorthanded goal for the Victorias. Number 9 in Tristan Arneson as Arneson plays it towards the line for Romanek. Arneson calling for the pass back, doesn't get it, instead goes across. That shot scores! I believe, no, it was number 22 in Osterman, as Osterman now banks this out off the boards, all the way down where Dayton Kiesman recovers, as no, there's some physical stuff going down just by the Victoria's boards, as I believe it's number 2 in Evan Philippe to Magnus Carlson, but couldn't. Is this now up to the point to Neal, feeds the Cedars and scores! The pace really picking up here suddenly as we get back to 5-on-5 play. As Dayton Kiesman has this stripped away. Here's Arneson now into the slot, but that deflected out of. Of course, adding on to that total recently. This taken away now out in front, but sprawling out to make that save, getting the blocker on it. Number 29 in Penner. From height. Is at the point. Salamanca, his shot tipped in, scores! 4 unanswered now for this Canucks team. So it'll be the Vics on a break. Aiden Anderson trying to shoot, but has his pocket picked by Magnus Enerson because of it. Ashton Romanek the other way now. Oh, gets blown up in the middle of the Victoria zone. So we're into the final minute of play of this one, brought to you by Terrico and Goaltenders. Connor Murphy looks to be perfect, but cannot end off this period. As the Vics back onto the board. Number 26 in Gilson tried to work it to the slot, but couldn't get it there. So that pass missed. Tristan Arneson holds on to this puck strongly. Now plays it to the middle. Tic-tac-toe. And in the back of the net for Griffin Height. As it's the 5th of the period for this junior Canucks team as they celebrate. Chips this in, or rather redirected it, as this now turned over, picked off by, I believe, Gillison. Tic-tac-toe scores! As it's currently a 5-4 Canucks lead. As that, a huge block by Nolan Anderson, kicks it up to himself afterwards. Has Rubini with him as well. Rubini, oh, a nice defensive play on the back check from Rory Neal. Under a minute 30 left on this man advantage. Have to take advantage of what looks like a golden opportunity. Kiesman struggles at the line to drop that back. It's stripped away by Osterman. Strong to the net. Osterman tried to dangle on Penner, but gets through to Rubini. An absolute track meet this is turned into, and now it's Degagne who strips away Rubini of the puck. Has Neal with him. Degagne over Neal, but oh, what a clutch defensive stick by Blake Lee. Touch back up to number 3. to Gilson, across, threaded to Anderson, his shot, oh, huge block by number 22 in Osterman as this gets all the way down, sticked away by the Canucks. Dane Kiesman tries to hold it in, but it'll be Tristan Arneson. Now a 6-point night for him. His first goal of the evening to send this Canucks team home with 8.9 seconds left. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Welcome back to this edition of the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast, everybody, for episode 13, season 2. In today's episode, getting a chance to sit down with Blake Harris, head coach of the St. James Junior Canucks. As you saw from their highlights, a big 6-4 victory from them, seeing Arneson's big performance on full display there. Full game available on our YouTube channel, pre-recorded. That one got chippy, as games usually tend to get in the MMJHL, especially this season. It seems like every single game as of late that we've covered on the network has some sort of, fighting or, stuff that gets kind of out of hand after the whistles. But, yeah, saw some huge saves from Ethan Penner in that one. Some great plays from players like Arneson, Neal, Romanek on St. James, and back and forth battle last night, which came down to the very end with St. James on top. Also got off of a message, or just read a message, as I should say. I was going to say just got off of the phone, but that's not the case. Just read a message from my phone that we have the okay to now show our Make Canada Fasteners and Tools commercial, which that will be debuting tonight on our MMJHL game day broadcast between the St. Boniface Riels and the River East Royal Knights. But before we get into all of that, our future plans here tonight for St. Boniface and River East, we're going to take you through once again the upcoming games for the final weekend of action in the MMJHL's 2024 portion of the schedule. We'll also be live at Iroquois on Sunday for Charleswood and Stonewall. As that one will be a home game for the Charleswood Hawks, as the Jets will be coming into Winnipeg for their final game of the 2024 side of the schedule. As for the point leaders, we got some changes here. Some names that have appeared for the first time on our goalie leaderboards, one in particular in Connor Murphy, who's now up to 10 wins on the season, a .913 save percentage. Solid stuff from him. Rory Neal has been a real difference maker for the St. James Junior Canucks team as well. He's now tied for fourth in the league in points with Ryland Netchwaduk. Gorchinski back atop of the point leaderboards, and Halamandaris has passed Netchwaduk there, as you can see. Maroney suffering his first loss of the season last weekend against the Charleswood Hawks. Delarone back in the lineup for Transcona, by the way. But as for the goal leaders, Ruben is still atop of these leaderboards here, although he's been passed by a few names in the assist leaderboards, as Rory Neal now up to 28 assists, tied with Halamandaris in that stat category, as you can see there. Also for the Canucks, Griffin Height tied for fifth in goals with Matt Carlson there. If you want to see the full stats leaderboards on the MMJHL's website, be sure to check it out at mmjhl.ca. As for the standings, before we get into the power rankings, we want to show you where all the teams are. St. James has been making their way up slowly but surely as the season has gone along in the standings, now up to 26 points and only 5 points behind the Victorias with 2 games in hand. And with that, St. James bumps another spot up on the power rankings. So we've gotten quite a bit of movement here. For the River East Royal Knights, they went 0-2 last weekend, lost to the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. I wasn't sure how to move the Twisters, given that they don't end up finishing a game. They went winless last week in the end of it, but they were only down 5-3 against the Canucks. So I decided to keep the Twisters where they are. For the Jets, they go 1-1 on the weekend. Not quite good enough to move up, but not quite, bad enough to move down, I guess we can say. I want to talk about the Transcon Railer Express because, yes, they're still the first place team in the league by 4 points, but they had an 0-2 week where they didn't play their best by any means. And with that, that's okay, right? Like, you're going to have times in a season where not everything is going to be a 10-game winning streak, which that Railers team was on. They lost 4-1 to the Hawks and then lost to the Fort Garry Twins. For Fort Garry, they had a perfect weekend for themselves, so that's why they move 2 spots up, and why the Hawks end up moving a spot down. It should be a -1 there instead of a +1. But yeah, the Hawks split their weekend against a team that was first and still is first in the Railers, and a team that is climbing up the standings themselves as we take another look in the St. Boniface Riels, only a point behind Charleswood and on a 5-game winning streak, beating Charleswood 7-3 on Sunday. And with how good St. Boniface has been, they end up beating the Junior Victorias on the Thursday 6-1 to start off their weekend. This is a team that is buzzing and operating on high efficiency right now, a team that's putting the puck in the net second most out of any team on game per average. We've seen that power play get better, and overall this team right now, based off of their week, is the hottest team in the MMJHL, and a team that has shot themselves up to first place in the power rankings, playing a well-refined game right now and looking to continue it heading into the final weekend of games for themselves. Of course, coming up tonight on G-Show Productions on MMJHL Game Day against the River East Royal Knights, as well as finishing off on Sunday night their last game in 2024 against the Fort Garry Twins, who second in our power rankings, also one of the hottest teams in the league right now on a 3-game winning streak. Be sure to check out mmjhl.ca for all the details of where these games are going to be played, the comparisons of these teams heading in, as well as checking out all the rest of the action that is still left to be played here in 2025, as the first game back in league action in 2025 will be on Thursday, January 2nd, with the St. Vital Junior Victorias at home to face off against the Charleswood Hawks. Always a good one when those two teams play against each other. We'll have that one on G-Show Productions on MMJHL Game Day. You can guarantee that. But that's going to do it for our power rankings this week, brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Be sure to check out their website at cancentralsportscards.com, and as well as checking out their store location. They're only one here in Winnipeg, and they're only one anywhere on 995 Milsteagle Drive. We're going to head to one more transition here, and then I'll be back for some final words on this edition of the MMJHL Podcast. Well, you made it to the end of this edition of the MMJHL Podcast, everybody. Thank you to Blake Harris for tuning into this one and being the guest in this week's episode. More great guests to come in Season 2, episodes 14, 15, and so on. As for Trey Song's #1 fan, I tried to get him on the show this week, but didn't get any response over from the from the Transcona Railer Express camp and from their brass over there. So it'll have to wait until 2025 at some point. We're hoping to get him on soon for Trey Song's #1 fan. He's been asking for it. We want to deliver it now, but His Christmas present's going to come a bit late. Speaking of Christmas, everybody, it's almost that time, 5 days away. I hope everyone celebrating has a wonderful and safe Merry Christmas. Hope everyone during this holiday season also has a safe and wonderful holiday spent with family, friends, people you care about, as well as a safe and happy New Year for everybody. Hope all your resolutions come true, or you try to stick with them. At least I'm going to be trying to stick with as many as I can this year for sure. And yeah, what a year it's been. We've seen a bit of a change in the guard in the league in ways, with St. James no longer as the first place team for now. And who knows if they do make it back to that point, but there's a lot of season to go, and one thing's for sure, Blake Harris talked about that team getting their swagger back. Seems like they certainly are and have been playing with a lot of swagger recently, but it's not going to be the same this year for St. James in terms of them, I think, being the outright favorite heading into the playoffs. And I think that their playoff run coming up, if they're able to secure a spot this year, is going to be the most challenging ever, because you got Transcona, St. Boniface, Charleswood, Fort Garry, even St. Vital in there, who gave them a close game last night to the very end. They're all gunning for a chance to hoist that championship trophy. St. James now kind of back in the middle of the standings. How do they, continue to work on their process towards those playoffs in terms of clinching and getting set to defend their title? Well, we'll find out come 2025, everybody, as we are still a few months away from the playoffs, but it will be here before we know it. Thank you for choosing G-Show Productions, as we are your home for MMJHL hockey here in the province of Manitoba. We want to thank our sponsors for sponsoring another edition of this podcast, and McKenna Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, as well as goaltenders. And thank you to you, of course, as always, the viewer, for tuning in to this one and for supporting us here on the network. Christmas special coming out next week, by the way, on Wednesday on this podcast. You won't want to miss it. I'm thinking we're going to do kind of a World Junior preview show type of style, similar to what TSN does, in terms of, dissecting each team, I guess, talking about their outlook for the rest of the year, what they've done so far, as well as maybe giving an early playoff prediction, awards predictions as well. I don't know. We're going to have some fun with it next week. Details will be out on our website and on our social media platforms. But until then, everybody, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and to anyone who doesn't celebrate Christmas and is celebrating another holiday, I hope you have a safe and great one too there. I've been your host, Graham Forsyth, giving you the peace out and saying so long, everybody. Riels and Royal Knights tonight, Hawks and Jets on Sunday. You won't want to miss those, MMJHL fans. Take care. Thanks for watching. Peace out, everybody.